Chief Minister, would you say it's fair to call this past year, which is also your first year as Chief Minister, would you say it's been a rough year because of Pahalgam and then Red Fort, which has impacted so many Kashmiris as well?
Look, by any yardstick, if you want to assess the year, it's been a difficult one. It's been a difficult one from the security paradigm. You had the attack in Baisaran earlier in the year. You ended the year with the blast in Delhi, which emanated from a conspiracy hatched in Jammu and Kashmir, coupled with a very difficult economic environment. The immediate change in the circumstances after Baisaran has completely sort of reoriented our economy in terms of where we were in April of this year and where we find ourselves now. We've never been a very strong economy in the first place. So unfortunately, these sort of circumstances make it even more difficult for us.
You know, when Pahalgam took place, one of the scenes that came out of there and which surprised people across the country was this air. For the first time, we were seeing Kashmiris come out in public against the attacks. Then we saw what the special assembly session that took place where all legislators and people's representatives spoke up. And there was this unified atmosphere. Does that still stand? Or I have seen your tweets and concern about Kashmiri students and others being outside targeted again. Has that unified air, which we saw, this feeling of unity that we saw post-Pahalgam, has that been disrupted?
Are Kashmiris more accepting of violence today? No. They are as disturbed by what happened in Pahalgam as they are by what happened in Delhi. Do they make that feeling more public? Perhaps not. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't continue to disturb us. It doesn't mean that we are not, we don't find it abhorrent. We continue to. That said, we are also equally concerned when an attempt is made to paint the entire community with one brush. As I've said time and again, after particularly the Delhi blast, not all Kashmiri Muslims are terrorists. Not all Kashmiri Muslims support terrorism. In fact, they are a minuscule minority that do. The overwhelming majority of people are the ones you saw out on the streets after the attack in Baisaran. They are the ones who are in colleges and universities in different parts of the country. They are the ones who are trying to earn an honest day's living in various parts. But the problem is when you sort of issue government orders that say that all foreign nationals and Kashmiri Muslims must register in their nearest police station, which happened not too far away from Delhi, you then send a very
in Haryana.
Yes, it did happen. I'm not getting into naming names. You know, I know where it did happen. You effectively saying that Kashmiri Muslims and foreigners are the same to you. Is that really the message you want to send?
So, did you call up? I know that. Did you call up the Chief Minister?
We took it up. We took it up. But by then the damage was done. Look,
what did they say?
You can't get people to forget these sort of orders.
No, but Chief Minister, what did they say? When you called them up and you said, this is not on.
Well, more often than not, they say, अच्छा ये हुआ, नहीं होना चाहिए था, चलिए हम देख लेंगे. But हो गया ना. You can't undo
the othering happens. The othering of Kashmiris does happen.
I mean, you're basically pushing them to the side and suggesting that they are entirely untrustworthy, can't be relied on, and every one of them is out to create trouble, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And then that sort of makes it difficult for us because then everybody becomes inward looking. It's very difficult to convince youngsters that to explore better economic opportunities, they should leave Jammu and Kashmir, to explore better education opportunities. I mean, we just had Sunil talking about startups and sort of the Indian growth story. you want the youth of Jammu and Kashmir to be a part of that growth story in different parts of the country. But when they find they have to go and present themselves in a police station or find it almost impossible to get a place to stay, it's not easy.
So, Chief Minister, I want to ask you this because I think everyone has been trying to, and we've had some analysts talk about it, but everyone's trying to understand what's happened. And because you've been Chief Minister once before, and now you are in touch with the establishment and security authorities there. This return of homegrown terror, what is your theory about it? What do you think is lending itself to it?
Why do you use the word return? When did it ever go away? It was there.
Aren't people sounding surprised that, with the Red Fort attack?
Well, I think only those people are surprised who had convinced themselves that it was gone. I have been one of those people who has been telling you that you can't wish this away. And that the changes that you made to the constitutional relationship between Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of India are not going to miraculously result in an end to terror. They're not going to result in an end to separatism, because those quarters that have been doing this are not doing it because of what Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed constitutionally. They're doing it for entirely different reasons. So those of you who convinced themselves that 5th August 2019 was some miraculous cure to all of J&K's problems, I think you're the ones who are surprised. I'm not. I'm actually surprised that it took this long for the rest of you to realize that perhaps things are not as great as was sold to the rest of the country.
Well, let me put it like this. Do you feel that there is going to be an uptick in it?
Look, I'm not going to get into that. I'm hoping that it won't. I'm hoping that what happened in Baisaran and subsequently what has happened in Delhi was a sufficient wake-up call, that we will realize the gravity of what we're dealing with. I think also Rahul alluded to it in his conversation with Dr. Jaishankar. We now have drawn a line in the sand vis-a-vis how we will react to future attacks. That makes it even more sort of pressing on us to ensure that an attack like this doesn't happen again. Because we have effectively said that an attack of this nature will be considered an act of war. I think the only saving grace where the Delhi bomb blast was concerned is that there was no external hand visible. I mean, invisibly there must have been. But unlike Pahalgam, where all the perpetrators were from outside of Kashmir, in this case, I think that gave Government of India a little bit of a cushion that they didn't have to enact what I think we can safely call the Modi doctrine on internal security.
Mr. Abdullah, I'm sorry to just stress on this again, but is there something that the administration can proactively do to lessen or counter this homegrown terror?
Well, I think first and foremost, you can't operate governments in silos. You cannot have an elected government that is completely removed from any security-related decisions.
Right.
How do you expect a proper flow of information if the elected representatives play no part whatsoever in decisions affecting the security? Look, I have been on both sides of this prism. You pointed out, and I'm probably unique in that respect in this country. I'm the only chief minister who has governed both a state and a union territory.
Yeah.
And I can tell you without fear of contradiction that the union territory model does not work.
Can you, for our audience members, give them an instance which makes it very clear? Like, what would sound like unimaginable for us that the chief minister doesn't know about security, which happens with you all the time? Give us an instance.
Well, I read about the Delhi blasts in the newspaper.
What do you mean?
I do not know who carried out those attacks, what was the reason behind them, what was the intelligence that was available to us, how the investigation is proceeding. I learned of the Delhi blast the way you learned of the Delhi blast. I picked up my phone because I got a tweet telling me that the blast in Delhi had taken place.
So you're telling me that in your first term as chief minister, what would have and should happen according to you is?
What would have happened is the Director General of Police would have called me up and told me that this is what has happened. In fact, even before that, the Director General of Police and the in charge of the J&K Police CID cell would have kept me informed of the way in which the investigation was proceeding. what happened in Delhi wasn't sort of the beginning of a process. It was actually, in some ways, the culmination of one. It started as a result of an investigation into posters, separatist posters, that were being planted or pasted in some parts of Srinagar. That's how they tracked down the doctor and others. And, it's actually strange how these things happen. Since I'm not privy to security-related information, what I hear is sort of word of mouth. I have no hesitation in sharing it. We actually learnt of this plot because a young boy jilted a young girl. They were seeing each other, and the boy left the girl. And the girl obviously felt unhappy, upset. So she went to the police and complained about this boy, saying, those posters you're talking about? This boy was the one who was pasting those posters. The girl went and told on the boy because he had left her. And when the police picked up the boy, he said, well, hang on, I'm not alone. This Maulvi, he's also part of this. So the police went to the Maulvi. When they picked up the Maulvi, then the Maulvi said, well, hang on, I'm not alone in this. This doctor is involved in this. And that's how they reached the doctor, and that's how then they were tracking this doctor when the blast in Delhi happened. But these are the sort of things that ordinarily any other chief minister would be officially hearing about. I hear this because it's sort of chatter on the streets.
So even then, when they were trying to track one after the other, even then you weren't...
Like I told you, I learnt about the Delhi blast the same time. Well, you probably learnt about them earlier because you operate in a newsroom. I learnt about them when everybody else here did because their phones probably beeped, and that's how they heard. And this is the state or the territory that I am responsible for.
Well, that's revelatory. I have to ask you, it seems like a perfect segue. The finance minister was here in the morning. She praised you.
Well, very kind of her. Now, the next part to that will be, then, ma'am, please show me the money, because that's in extremely short supply. No, kind of her. And in all honesty, Government of India has been very helpful in all other respects except one, but we'll get to that, I'm sure.
When you say Government of India has been very helpful, does that get you into... I'm assuming it gets you into trouble with some of your constituents.
It does. But look, I'm very happy to own the decisions I take. Good, bad, ugly. I have never shied away from taking responsibility for what I've done. And therefore, if I have pivoted my government or my politics to ensure a good working relationship with the Government of India, I own that. And I will own the consequences of it. I think it's important to understand that a good working relationship with the Government of India doesn't mean that I'm in alliance with the BJP. I don't see eye to eye with the BJP. I will continue to oppose the politics of the BJP. But at the same time, I will seek to work with the Government of India as best possible.
And have you achieved that? I think it's a tricky balancing act that you have to do, that you have to get along with. Are you getting along well with the LG, and yet keep up your strident demands for statehood? I mean, you began our interview by talking and reiterating why you need statehood. So how tricky is that balancing act?
The relationship with the Honorable Lieutenant Governor is work in progress.
That's polite.
And we'll leave it at that.
Okay. I just wanted to, and I'm only asking you this, Chief Minister, because you talk to the community, you talk to whatever. I just wanted to understand that there seems to be a churn, and I will talk about the Bihar elections after that, but there seems to be a churn in the Muslim community. You talked about Muslim students, Kashmiri students. Everyone thought of them as a monolith, right? And they vote a certain way. I think the Bihar elections kind of completely changed that idea, because a huge chunk of them voted for AIMIM. Would you think, and I ask you this as just someone who's seen elections, knows how they work, what's happening in the community? Do they feel let down by the legacy parties? Because before, the impression among election observers like us was that, the community is very smart, they will go for the secular party, whoever seems to be the winning. But now it seems like all kinds of things are happening.
Well, I think the Muslim voter has very clearly said that you can't take us for granted. That we want somebody who will espouse our cause for the entire period of 5 years and not just for 5 months leading up to the elections. I think where the traditional recipients of the Muslim vote in states that you talked about have erred or made a mistake is in assuming that the Muslim vote is theirs regardless of what they do. And therefore, so for 4.5 years, they will sort of be relatively quiet on the issues that matter and suddenly wake up to this vote bank just before elections. That no longer works. And if that means that Asaduddin Owaisi Saab will sort of benefit from it, so be it. I think that community requires a voice, it requires to be heard, it requires to have its cause espoused. And if they find somebody who's willing to do it 365 days a year for 5 years, good.
And the larger takeaway for the opposition after the Bihar elections, I remember was it after the Delhi elections when you said that all ladte raho apne aap mein? What was your takeaway? What was your takeaway from Bihar results?
Was that in, which one was that in relation to?
I thought Delhi, right? Delhi elections.
I think it was Delhi, yes, you're right.
Yeah. So what is your takeaway from this one?
Well, it remains the same. Either we are a bloc, the India bloc, in which case decisions should by and large be taken together, or we're not. Look at Bihar. You consciously push one constituent of the India bloc out. Sure, his party isn't sort of across Bihar, but the JMM had a presence there.
Yeah.
You chose to exclude him from the seat-sharing arrangement. Now, hypothetically speaking, if tomorrow he were to up and leave,
yes,
who's at fault? I believe that we pushed Nitish Kumar back into the arms of the NDA.
Really?
I was part of that meeting where we were discussing whether we should make him the convener of the India bloc.
Right.
And we effectively, without naming names, we effectively suggested with Nitish Kumar sitting in the meeting that another leader would have the power of veto whether Nitish should become the convener or not.
Mamta Banerjee.
I'm not naming names.
I'll try.
I have to sit around the same table and work with these people. Yeah. So you can name all the names that you like, Chief and Minister, I will keep quiet.
So many constituents have said that the India alliance is dead already. You seem to suggest that no, I have to go back to these
we're sort of on life support. But every once in a while, somebody brings out those paddles and gives us a bit of a shock and we get up again. But then, unfortunately, results like Bihar happen and we slump down again and then somebody has to wheel us into the ICU.
So two things you pointed out. One, that they pushed out Nitish. Two, that...
I didn't say they, I said we. I was a part of that meeting.
Second, that they didn't... This entire thing with Hemant Soren and JMM was a disaster. What else?
I'm saying that if we are a bloc, then we should continue to function like one. Otherwise, we are a state-specific alliance. If we are a state-specific alliance, then no problem. Then you will have a different alliance for Bihar, you will have a different alliance for West Bengal, you will have a different alliance for wherever else. But if we are a bloc and we call ourselves the India bloc, then you need to take a more holistic view.
So here's the thing. And again, you have seen so many elections, you've fought so many of them. Is it very tough? Is it virtually impossible now for the bloc? What is required to take on the BJP? How big an adversary are they?
They have an unparalleled election machine. And that is, of course, in terms of the organization and the money. But don't put everything on that. They also have an incredible work ethic in terms of how they deal with elections. And I know this because, I've seen them in J&K. From a club election, and we know in Delhi how club elections are fought.
You're talking about the Constitution Club.
So, I'm not naming names.
No, what did they do there?
From a club election up till the election of the President of India.
Yeah.
They fight every election as if their lives depend on it. We sometimes fight elections as if we don't care. We're not as sort of committed to the 24/7 model of politics that the Prime Minister and his inner team are committed to. No sooner has one election finished that they've already moved into the next territory. Bihar is over, you will find them now moving into the states where the next elections are going to happen. We will move into those states 2 months before the elections. We will be lucky if we sew up our electoral alliances before the last date of filing of nominations, and sometimes not even then. I think there are, without sort of appearing to be too enamored by them, I think there are things they do that will not be difficult for us to replicate.
But Mr. Abdul, there must be some, obviously, regional players like yourself, National Conference defeated the BJP over there. Which opposition leader do you see who has that same kind of work ethic? Come on, you can name someone.
I won't.
Mamata Banerjee?
Yes, but see, the problem is that no matter how many regional leaders have that work ethic, we are constrained by how far we can grow. Like it or not, it will, at least for the foreseeable future, any opposition alliance will have to sort of grow around the Congress. They are the only party other than the BJP that has a pan-India presence. Right. We are all limited to one state, or if you're lucky, maybe 1.5. So no matter how much we are able to do, the heavy lifting will have to be done by the Congress.
So Mr. Abdullah, are you saying, listening to you, I seem to be accepting what many people, it sounds like that was 2024 a fluke?
No, I think 2024 was the country sending a message to the central government, to Prime Minister Modi and others, that things are not as rosy as you made them out to be, and that we are not happy with some of the decisions that have been taken. But I mean, look at the way in which the central government sort of changed its approach. Most of us believed that this was a government that was incapable of functioning as an alliance. Today, hardly any of us remember that it's an alliance government. We all felt that the style of functioning of this government did not lend itself to a UPA, NDA type of situation. But, I mean, I, for one, hardly ever remember that this is a Prime Minister that is actually dependent on two allies for his government.
You mean the way they take Mr. Naidu?
They reoriented their way of doing things, of carrying people along. I mean, from calling itself a BJP government, they called itself an NDA government. So these are small changes, but they matter.
So that way they're better election alliance partners than the Congress.
Well, again, Bihar showed it. Look how quickly they sewed up their seat sharing arrangement. And this was one that most people thought wouldn't happen, that Nitish's pulls and pressures would make it difficult for them to sew up a seat sharing. They got one, we in the India Bloc didn't.
Are you convinced by the argument of vote chori? Do you think there's some dodginess with the election commission?
I have never been a supporter of those who say that the machines are rigged, and this puts me sort of at a very difficult position at home because my father is convinced that machine mein chori hoti hai. But actually, in all honesty, I don't know if he's watching this, but if he is, then I'm really sorry, Dad, for saying this. But my dad believes everything he gets on WhatsApp. He is that generation that if it's come on WhatsApp, it is
or maybe Rahul Gandhi had a better impression of him.
I mean, so my father is convinced that machines can be rigged. I'm not. So we'll set that one aside. Elections can be manipulated. And the easiest way to manipulate an election is to do it through the voter list, or do it through the way in which you structure constituencies. The delimitation exercise in Jammu and Kashmir earlier was essentially, I won't call it rigging, but it was manipulation. You created 7 new constituencies. All those constituencies were designed to benefit one party and its one ally. So when you rejig voter lists, when you exclude a certain section of voters that you know are not going to vote for you, you are effectively manipulating an election. So that's why I think some of us have reservations about this process of this special intensive revision. Do it transparently, do it fairly, we have no problem. Bogus voters, do away with it. But if you're doing it to benefit a particular political party or outfit, then there will be questions.
But do you think that manipulation, which you said it can be open, do you think it played a role in Bihar?
I don't know Bihar well enough. And I think the way in the overwhelming majority that Nitish Kumar got, you don't get just by manipulation. The way in which people came out and voted, you don't get that just because you excluded a handful of people from votes. I think some of the issues on which the election was fought perhaps needed to be tinkered around with.
Chief Minister, I have so many more questions, but I think our time is up. So thank you. Thank you so much for being so candid. Thank you.